Well, Danny, Bonnie, that was nice, wasn't it? I just noticed her beautiful dress. How impressive is that? Well, I want to thank you for inviting me here today. I'm grateful for the opportunity. The building of your church has gone well beyond my expectations, and I appreciate all your hard work to make that happen. It's no easy thing and represents hours and hours of dreaming, praying, and then making it all come together. So grateful for how the Lord led. There are many miracles that you're aware of, and I guess I'm going to mention a couple of them because I'm aware of them. The platform, they didn't think turned out to be perfect, The ramp, I visualize it going out, straight, but it's much better how you have it set up. Very well done. And Dixie and I rolled up it this morning, and it's just the right design. And how you're already fixing driveways that, took a beating through all the construction, and how, I was too cheap. I didn't want brick on the outside of that, but you do see it. It matters. So nice job. You did great. It all is nice. And there's more you're doing, and I'm excited about that. And I know this maybe doesn't matter to you, but stick one palm tree out front. We're here, I mean, it's, and I love the fact you can get a great big palm tree and plant that thing, and it'll live. Anyway, it's just amazing to me. So thank you for making all of that happen. And the people in charge of moving all the tables and chairs for Philip, we don't have to do that anymore. It just happens. And Jim, I'm impressed that your wife is right here with you. Praise God for that. Nancy, way to go. We love it when you come here. All right, I'm not in costume. I could sometimes do this in costume, but I'm just going to tell you the story of a guy. It kind of touches my own heart because leprosy, that's worse than death. People believe they would be better off dead than to have leprosy in the time of Jesus. Here's a guy's story. I, speculate a little bit, but Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 through 5, here's the guy's story. I tell it as if it were my own. For 5 years, no one touched me. No one touched me. 5 years. Not my wife, not my child, not my friends, no one. They saw me. They spoke to me. I sensed love in their voices. I saw concern in their eyes, but I did not feel their touch, not once in 5 years. What is common to you, I covet. Handshakes, warm embraces, a tap on the shoulder. Such moments were taken from me with the leprosy experience. No one even bumped into me. Have you been bumped into and thought, well, that's inconvenient? I would want to be bumped into. What a nice experience that would be, just to be bumped into. An accidental moment. But no one touched me. How could it happen? I was not allowed on the streets, not allowed in my home, not allowed in public. A leper, untouchable. It all started one fall during harvest season. The tips of my finger, on my right hand, were numb. I noticed the grip during harvest was weak, and by the end of harvest, it felt like somebody else's hand was on my own arm. I could feel nothing at all. My hand was just like a limp bird that I would hold to my side. I said nothing to my wife, but she noticed. She suspected something. How could she not? She was close to me, and one afternoon I was washing my hands, plunged my hands into the basin, and there the water turned red from my own blood, freely flowing from my finger. The blood is on your robe too, my wife said, and so she had noticed. She said it softly. She was behind me, and I looked down. I could see the dark spots there on my robe. What a sobering thing. For a long time, I just stood there wondering what was next. I knew my life was changing in every way right before my eyes. My wife offered to go with me to the priest, and I said, no, I will go alone. I looked into her crying eyes, into the dark eyes of our young daughter, who also realized the difficulty that lay ahead. I touched my wife's cheek with my good hand, and that was my last final touch. For the priest declared me as unclean, a leper. Oh, he looked at my hand, he looked at my face. Then he did what he was instructed to do. He even covered his mouth when he said, "You are unclean." Oh, with those words, I lost my family, I lost my farm, I lost my future, I lost my friends, and I almost lost my faith. Almost. My wife met me at the city gates, sometimes with a sack of clothing and bread, a few coins. My friends would sometimes gather, but their eyes were full of fearful pity. Anytime I stepped closer to someone, they would step back. The fear of my disease was greater than their concern for my feelings. Really, everyone that I see or approach steps back. 5 years of leprosy, and now my hands are gnarled, my nose is partly gone, and my right ear is affected. When people see me, they grab their children and they cover their eyes so that they don't have to see. Sores have gone across my body. Who could deserve this sickness, this disease, this isolation, this difficulty worse than death? Some assume that I have sinned. Some wonder if my parents have sinned. I don't know what to think. I just know that I am tired and alone. Staying in the colony with the other lepers, that's encouraging. Only we don't touch each other either. Some of them wear a bell to identify them as lepers so that others will move back. I don't like to do that. I got really tired of hearing it ringing. And really no bell is needed because people call out, especially when I'm so obviously diseased. They call out, "Unclean, unclean," anytime I'm in their view, anytime any leper is in view. Several weeks ago, I decided I would go down toward my home, toward my fields, toward my village. I wasn't going to enter the village. I just wanted to recall some of the meaningful memories from before. I wanted to see my wife, but I did not see her. I saw some children playing with the green grass. I hid behind a tree. I watched them run and laugh, their faces full of joy. The sound of their laughter was a little gripping for me for a moment. And for just a moment, I forgot that I was a leper. For a moment, I thought maybe I was a farmer, a father again, a man. I thought maybe I was healthy. Oh, the longing in my heart. Then I stepped from behind the tree and stood up straight. Took a deep breath. Then they saw me. Before I could retreat, they screamed, they scattered. But one girl paused to look at me. I think it might have been my daughter, but I couldn't recognize her for sure. I cannot say, but it looked like her, and it looked as if she was looking for her father. Oh, man, what a difficult moment. That's what made me take the next step that said, "God in heaven, help me somehow. Is there someone who can help me and heal me?" I decided I would take the reckless, risky chance of trying to find this God-man they were talking about, this Jesus. He calls himself God's Son. He could heal me. Or what do I have to lose to ask? All I could think about was this man, Jesus, once that thought came to my mind. And then, when I saw him, it was a great distance, but I realized this man seemed to be full of love and compassion in his eyes. I could not even describe for you what it was like to see him, but my heart jumped. Have you seen a beautiful Judean sunrise? Fresh and glorious? Sometimes words cannot even describe that glory of a beautiful sunrise. And that's what it was like when I saw the face of Jesus for the first time. Like a Judean morning. Even before I spoke, I felt that he cared for me. Somehow I sensed that he hated the disease that I had as much, no, maybe more than I hated it. My feelings of hope and trust came alive. From behind a rock, I watched him come closer. I wondered if he would come by that very path as he came down the hill. A bunch of people followed him, but I waited until he was only a few steps from me, from the rock, and then I stepped out, and I said, "Master." He stopped. He looked at me, and a flood of fear gripped the crowd. "Unclean," some shouted as they moved back. I didn't blame them. I looked like death, but I did not hear them. I did not see them. I did not react to their reaction. I had seen 1,000 times people before say, "Unclean," and move back. But I looked at Jesus. I looked in his eyes that shared a care that I had never experienced before. Everybody else moved back, except Jesus. He actually stepped towards me. For 5 long years, no one had stepped toward me. My wife, 5 years before, he moved toward me, and I simply spoke, "Lord, you can heal me if you will." Now, he could have healed me with a word. That would have been fine. He could have healed me with a prayer. That would have been good. He could have cured me with a wave of his hand. That would have been great. But no, he did this. He was not satisfied with speaking to me. He came close to me, stepped closer yet, and he touched me. Amen. Jesus touched me. Amen. And he wants to touch you. It had been 5 years since I had been touched by anyone, and Jesus touched me. The words were as loving as his touch. "I will," he answered to my question. "Lord, you can heal me if you will." And he said, "I will. Be healed." Energy flooded my body. In an instant, in that moment, I felt warmth instead of numbness. I felt strength instead of nothing. My back was straightened. My head and my heart lifted. He went beyond that. He cupped his hands on my face and pulled me closer with his touch. Surprised me, he said, "Do not tell anyone about this, but go and show yourself to the priest and offer the gift Moses commanded for people who are made well. This will show the people what I have done." So Jesus didn't want words, but just showing others. So that is what I did. That is where I went. I went to the priest, and I showed myself to him. He accepted the gift as Moses had instructed. I showed myself to my wife, my daughter. I picked up my daughter. I embraced her. No sign of leprosy. Total healing. Restoration of fingers, nose, and toes. I will never forget the one who dared touch me. I will never forget the one who dared to heal me. I will never forget the one who dared to honor me with his care. I was unworthy of the touch of a man, yet worthy of the touch of God. May Jesus touch our lives. And may Jesus help us touch the lives of others. I am so grateful. The hymn chosen is perfect. Number 241. Jesus, the very thought of thee. Let's stand and sing it together as we think about and invite